Hello there, welcome to the Thinking Marketing Podcast, where we dive deep with cutting-edge marketers. Today, I'm very happy to be joined by Sven Muchow. Sven is the founder of Muchow Marketing, which is an agency that helps D2C brands blow up using TikTok and Meta ads. I found Sven through LinkedIn, where he writes about paid marketing and especially creative testing. He's really a fan of trying new, highly creative concepts to make standout ads that converts like crazy. In today's conversation, we're talking about how you find those ads, how you work with UGC creators, and how you set up your TikTok and Meta ad accounts to test and scale in the best way possible. And you'll also learn something that I think is sometimes a little bit overlooked, which is how you analyze and optimize landing pages for paid marketing performance. If you like today's episode, make sure to follow my newsletter at thinkingmarketing.io, as well as me on social media channels. And also, if you want to learn more about what we're discussing today, make sure to follow Sven on LinkedIn. Before we go into the juicy stuff, just quick question. Who are you, what you do, and what's your specialty in marketing?
Yeah, I'm Sven Muchow, founder of Muchow Marketing, a marketing agency. We help 7 and 8 figure e-commerce businesses, anybody really making more than 4 million yearly revenue. We help them with their Facebook and TikTok ads, very focused on creatives. We specialize in UGC, but now with Facebook, of course, also to some static. And I also have had some great success doing conversion rate optimization for some of our clients. It always comes as a package because you can't run ads without creatives and creatives without a great landing page. So we focus on the full paid approach, helping and scaling them.
So at your agency, what's your process when you start working with a new client, going from scratch to scale?
What we usually start with is a creative content audit. So we look at, hey, what's the pre-existing content they have? Like we're looking for raw footage from UGC creators. We're looking for clips we can use, something that might be a great hook, like, visually interesting clips, all that stuff. We also audit their existing ads. So we look at, okay, what worked well, what didn't work so well, which I suppose every agency does. We usually then next look at, okay, what are some crazy ideas we can test next? Because most brands leave a little bit of money on the table, or actually a lot of money on the table, because they run the things that work, but they don't try the crazy stuff that might work, like the really flop or big home run type of content. So that's where you usually go next. Then obviously, through the onboarding, we have creators. We have between 35 and 40 creators ready that are trained, and out of every demographic, like 30-year-old, 40-year-old, male, female couple, not the 20-year-old, typical, so to say, TikTok influencer, whatnot, have that ready, and then turn it out to them. And usually produce a bunch of net new content to start with. Net new meaning something the brand didn't have before. Just because there's certain things that work very well right now. ASMR works like crazy, ASMR videos, and something called negative hooks. So produce things like that, and then lean into repurposing for our clients. All the clips they have, the more the better. We use a tool called 11 Labs that lets you do very realistic voiceovers. If you use the voice cloning feature, I have example ads on my website from my work. If anybody wants to check it out, and not a bunch, but there's a good amount on there that are actually generated with AI and repurposed content. And I would bet money that nobody would be able to tell which ones are the AI ones for the most part, and which ones are the actual realistic ones. So yeah, we do this creative audit, see what crazy ideas we want to test to, essentially, okay, go big or go home basically, while obviously running the stuff that's been proven for the brand to kind of stabilize the performance. And then also do a lot of conversion rate optimization. We usually start with a website audit, kind of going over small changes that can have a big effect. So we're not trying to relaunch our whole website, relaunch this and that. We're just trying to, hey, if you had 2-3 videos here, you change this headline, you change this button color, button color, maybe not. But you get the idea, like really small things. We've been seeing great success with that. We had a client that made them 50% more revenue, or 15 or 16% more revenue within the first 2 weeks. So they just made these small changes. And, if it's a 7-figure brand making $500,000 I think that brand makes around $500,000 a month. It's another 75K or so right away in the first 2 weeks, monthly, forever. So we're really big on the conversion rate optimization, kind of auditing there. Okay, what can we improve? Should we maybe test another landing page? And then obviously we start our creative process.
So a lot of interesting stuff there and a full process. I have a question about the early stage of the process. When you are doing these new creative concepts, how do you understand which angles to tap into, which script frameworks to use, etc., for a new brand?
I mean, especially if you're an agency, right? There's some angles that not always, but are more likely to work. Like I said, ASMR right now, negative hooks. I just think it's not like it just works for one client. It works for pretty much all clients, at least with decent success, oftentimes very, very good success. So we usually start with those things that are, okay, we know this is going to be a banger. And then, try to go more experimental from there. We try to start with the stuff that's most likely to work. In general, it depends a lot on what the brand runs already, right? Like if we see a specific angle work, we do more of that. But then also, if there's something we see they haven't tried at all yet, like I said, those crazy ideas and such, then we definitely focus on trying to get that across. A lot of brands aren't that creative yet with their video ads specifically. Take one of our clients, a snoring device. You have so many angles between a couple, like stress in the marriage, and within that, there's like the wife punches the guy, or the neighbors banging and complaining about the noise. And I think it's the couple, but it really just is the guy snoring. So you have all these ideas, and that's usually what we test after we've tested like the proven ones and the stuff that's been working for them.
Nice. What is a negative hook for people?
Yeah, so negative hooks, some examples would be 3 reasons I regret buying X, 3 reasons I hate X, which is the brand's name. Another one that has been working pretty well for us is, here's a purchase I was wrong about. What it does is, it's a bit of marketing psychology. It obviously makes the viewer expect you to rant about something, so they're more likely to stay hooked. And then, especially if the purchase is wrong about, it's not necessarily a rant. It doesn't have to be a rant. You can just make it like, hey, I had my doubts about this. I wasn't sure about this. And now it actually turned out to be really great. So for the purchase is wrong about one, that would be something. And then for the 3 reasons we get, so it's usually a more ironic angle where it's, hey, 3 reasons why I regret buying X. And then, you go into an ironic angle of, oh, it works way too well and it's way too comfortable. And yeah, so those would be 2-3 examples of negative hooks.
Okay. So when you start working with a new client, you understand their content, you see what they're doing, you see what have been working, you have these crazy ideas. How do you develop different script for your creators?
Yeah, so we've tried different things over the past years. We've tried giving them more creative freedom. We've tried giving them less creative freedom. And what I found worked best is one, kind of set your creators up for success by giving them a checklist. It's basically a training of 13, 14 bullet points like, hey, listen to your video without actually watching it. Just pay attention to your voice. Then do the same without listening to the voice, just watch the video. And based on that, what you buy. If the answer is no, there's probably some work that needs to be done. So that's the first thing we do for our creators. So we get great videos. And then the second one would be we script relatively closely. We provide creators with a script, an exact hook to use. We're very particular about the hook because we kind of know what types of hook we want to test and what works. So they stick to the hook one by one, like they don't change it. It's right as it is from the script. But throughout the video, they can, if they would say something differently, more naturally than what the script says, they can say it in their own words. So yeah, it's basically all scripted, some visual clues that like, hey, you could consider trying this crazy thing, like where the creator smashing some grapes the other day as a hopes for, was like a testosterone supplement. and, shrink the balls and such, and then to emphasize it, like smash those grapes. So those are some visual clues we give there to help them. And obviously they add their own creativity especially on the visual part on top of that.
So for a testosterone booster, you had a visual hook, which was smashing grapes.
Yeah.
And did you have a text hook as well?
Yeah, the text over the hook and the spoken one as well. We said, hey, if you use this will happen for your balls, basically. I don't know, like that's not the exact wording, but pretty much that, just worded slightly different.
Okay, and this kind of visual hooks, I mean, to start using them as a brand, I think that's kind of like outside of most like internal teams conceptualization still on how you do ads these days. So that's really where an agency like yours and your creators can make a big.
Yeah, I think it's one most brands don't have to connect these to creators where they have enough creators to test with. And two, I see a lot of different brand accounts and a lot of different agency, like some other agencies, a lot of content. So I get a lot more input on different creative ideas and crazy ideas that we could try. Whereas a brand, I mean, obviously they see competition too and such, but they're not in their own brand bubble, their own brand. So they might not see as many different creative types and creative ideas, and obviously also not results as quickly, because if I have one client where ASMR, just that's what happened basically. I saw one agency posting an ASMR video like, hey, we use this. Then I tried it with one client, it took off, and then it just did it with all clients because it was already proven and tested. You don't have that luxury when you're just in a brand when you do it in-house.
Very true. So when you're doing these crazy hook or crazy ad ideas that have high potential for performance, but there might be some brand considerations, are you ever getting pushbacks, or do you have thoughts on how it might impact brand, and what's your thinking around that?
Yeah, honestly, not surprisingly, but very little. Most of the clients I work with have the mindset of okay, we trust you as long as like no ad accounts get banned or whatever, and the returns are great, then do what you think. Obviously, like supplement brands and such, you need to be a little bit more considerate in terms of your ad account getting banned, ads getting disapproved, and all that stuff. You need to be a little bit more careful. But like those hooks like grapes getting smashed and all that, I look at it really more as, okay, the brand actually has some humor, is actually fun and human. And I think that's what people want. I think people want a really human brand, somebody they can relate to, not necessarily one where, they just tell you, hey, our product is so great, it has this and this and this in it. They want something more fun that entertains them. Because honestly, I've also seen the most successful ads I had entertain people a lot. The most successful ones I looked at after they were edited, and I was like, oh, this is actually really funny. And not even like the highest social proof or the highest, I don't know, screenshots of reviews in it or whatever. Just straight up entertained in the first 10 seconds so much that people automatically buy it.
That's a great tip for like intuitively screening your ads if they are entertaining.
Yeah. I also think traditional brand image is just not existent anymore. Like you can be a luxury brand, you can be Gucci, but you can still make funny TikToks. Duolingo is the most famous example for organic TikTok, where they succeeded with the organic strategy, but anybody that works with branding or something would be like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that, but it works great and everybody knows them now.
Yeah, exactly. I think the notion of what a brand is needs to be shifting now as we're in this like social media TikTok era where it's about having the people with you. So I'm totally with you on that. Going back to the scripting part and the ads that you're making. So you're very deliberate on the hooks that you want your creators to use. You also set them up with frameworks for how to, for example, highlight specific USPs, value proposition, if you want a customer review, social proofs, etc. Do you have set frameworks that you're giving to them to use, or are you leaving it up to them to do the whole storytelling through the ad as well?
Yeah, so that's something I've been thinking about right now. We kind of basically the whole ad is scripted, like everything after is also word by word kind of, but they can say it in their own way if they want to, which basically, I guess, gives them the framework. And then if they want to break away from that, they can. I have been thinking about just giving creators basically the hook, like, hey, here's the 2 USBs I want you to mention, and here's something I want in the ad, for example, like green screen or whatever. That's something I wanted to test more of in the future and see if it potentially works better. But so far, we have some of the right good scripts, actual scripts that also sound human and like TikTok, then full scripted ads work really well in combination with creative freedom to some extent.
Okay. So for advertisers that want to create banging TikTok ads, what needs to always be included in an ad?
Yeah, I mean, most important thing everybody's going to tell you is the hook. The spoken hook and obviously also the visual one. I think then an ad needs to have a reason for you to stay. A lot of advertisers have great hooks, but then the second, roughly 2 or 3 to 6, basically the sentence that comes right after the hook, that's where they lose a ton of people. So you really need to pay attention to what you say after, so people have a reason to stay until the end. So really the first 6 seconds. And then something I found working really well, give people a reason to call throughout the video. It can be a controversial statement. It can be something funny, something really random the creator does. We had a creator hanging upside down of one of those monkey bars the other day and say something just because. Like there was no real reason for it. It had nothing to do with the product. It was just hanging there. And, if you have multiple of those, people are going to talk about the ad. Either if it's controversial or if it's something random like that, they're going to be like, oh, what the hell? And engagement, improves your results. So I think those 3 things, and then, something basic like have a solid call to action at the end, make it very natural. Those would be the main point. So hook, seconds 2 to 6, the visual hook, and give them something to talk about, something that sparks a conversation in the comments.
Do you see these principles apply to both TikTok and Meta ads, or are there some key difference between the platforms?
No, I think they definitely apply to both. What we usually do is with UGC, the video side, we use it on TikTok because it's obviously only video. And then if it works, great. Or even if it doesn't sometimes, we test it on Facebook. And every top performer on TikTok I've had was also a great performer on Facebook. And then obviously we add a few images, a few static ads to Facebook as well. I think that applies to both. Like success on TikTok means success on Facebook. Just because it's successful on Facebook doesn't mean you'll be successful on TikTok. So that's a big difference between, which way you go. Same as with organic. If you post a Facebook video on TikTok, it won't do well. If you post a TikTok on Facebook or Instagram Reels, it's going to do well.
All right. So TikTok is right now the leading platform in terms of content.
Yes. It goes from TikTok to somewhere else and not really vice versa.
All right. That's interesting. So, okay, so you are doing a lot of UGC style ads. You're working with a team of creators. You said 30 creators. How do you set up a successful strategy for working with UGC creators?
Do you mean in terms of instructions and such?
I mean, I think the whole process of creating a team of UGC creators, like how do you source them, how do you vet them, how do you instruct them, and have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question. So there's many different ways to do it. The ways I did it, I find my creators on Twitter. It's a big UGC community on Twitter on the hashtag UGC. You can search for male UGC creators on Twitter as well and find them that way, or female, whatever you need. I know there's also a few platforms, Brands Meets Creators, or My Grammar is a great one, where you can for free connect with UGC creators. So I found mine on Twitter. I vetted them. They put their portfolio in the comments of the posts I make, where I'm like, hey, I need a 30-year-old female UGC creator. Then I get a bunch of comments on it, where people comment their portfolio. And then in the portfolio, I usually look for people actually talking. some UGC creators only have trend videos and those type of things. I needed to be where, okay, I can rely on them bringing energy when they talk. I need to know what their voice sounds like, if they sound like the ad is scripted or if it sounds natural. And those are the main things. And then, like I mentioned earlier, something very short training type of thing, a brief where it's like, hey, pay attention to these 14 points. For example, great lighting, great audio, like actually sound like you mean what you say, like put some emotions behind it, those type of things. And yeah, so I think that's the way I set them up for success. And then, like I mentioned, the script for the ads itself.
All right. And how does it work with... I know there's still a lot of brands who haven't tried working with UGC creators in this way, and especially not in such a free setting as Twitter. How does it work with payments and things like that?
Yeah, so payments, it's really like any other contractor, right? Imagine you hire somebody to, I don't know, create a great flyer for you to hand out to people on the streets. It's just a one-off thing or so, right? So you just hire them as a 1099 hire, as a 1099, and then they just continuously create videos for you, and they get paid by video. I know there's a few brands or agencies that pay their creators basically like a salary as well, and then say something like, hey, we expect a minimum of whatever, 100 videos or whatnot. But how I do it is I just in my long-term creators, every time I have a creator, I try to keep them for as long as possible if they turn out good, and train them more because they only get better and saves me the headache or the brand. If the brand does it, the headache of having to find new ones, then just keep working with it. Just pay them as usual like any other contractor.
You find a creator, you like their portfolio, you agree on the price, you then always have the brand send the product to them, and they record with the product itself.
Yeah. So the brand usually as part of the onboarding process with us, we have the brand send product to 3 or 4 creators or however many we need. And then they have the product. So if the creator turns out to be, let's say we test man and woman, 2 male creators, 2 female creators, and turns out men work a lot better in the ads or women work a lot better, then those 2 creators already have the product. So creating ads is a lot faster. Because the biggest thing to overcome is like shipping times. Shipping takes 3-4 days or whatever. So if the creators have the product in their hands already, you can just keep pumping our content in no time.
And now let's talk some about TikTok, because I think most content are about scaling meta ads still. How do you set up the campaigns for testing, and then how do you go about scaling?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with TikTok right now, it's very simple. One big thing TikTok is lacking is the shared post ID, meaning if you post the same ad into a new ad group, it will lose all its comments and likes. So a lot of the social proof disappears. And scaling and testing is pretty straightforward. Usually I have pretty much one campaign. I haven't really seen retargeting working as of now. Maybe that will change, but as of now, retargeting doesn't really work too well on TikTok. And then just one campaign. You can test it with same as Facebook, but just a broad interest ad group. And then you just put your first 4 or 5 creators in there. I try to have between 3 and 6 roughly. I found that to be the sweet spot. And you just see whatever ad spends the most is usually the best ad. Doesn't mean it would have the lowest CPA, because obviously if you spend more, your CPA will also go up. So an ad that spends like $3,000 would have a slightly higher CPA than an ad that spends around $150. So that's kind of how I look at it. Is just put it basically on one ad group in the beginning. And then once you scale, you can test like a few different things. For example, there's smart campaigns. There's other things like slight interest stacks, testing a slightly different interest. But really media buying it's really straightforward and not that complicated anymore. There's no like strategy that works for everybody. The only thing is you got to keep ads in the same ad group as possible, and then just up the budget, because otherwise you lose social proof on TikTok. Other than that, it's really just creative testing, looking, okay, if I add this new ad to the ad group, is it going to spend more than the other one I had so far? And that's kind of how you go about it.
You launch a new ad set with 4 creatives. Do you run that for a week and then pause the poor performing ones and then add in 3 more, for example? Is that how you?
Yeah, so I try to keep 2 or so creatives, for example, depending if there's 3 creatives that all do extremely well, we're super happy with the results, I keep them all on. But let's say I added 5 ads, 2 perform well, the other ones don't, not as much. Then I just turn 3 off and add 3 new ones into the same ad group and just keep it running. There's a max of 20 ads per ad group. So if I reach that, I just launch a new ad group with the same targeting, etc.
Yeah. Okay, and this sounds like the approach that a lot of people are taking to meta ads as well. Do you do kind of similar on meta, or do you have some hack there that you don't, that doesn't work on TikTok?
Yeah, meta, I approach it very similar. For meta, I use a few more campaigns. I use one for top of funnel and then one for bottom of funnel, retargeting and such. And depending on the budget, sometimes I might use middle of funnel as well, which for smaller brands, I combine middle and bottom of funnel. So those are basically like retargeting, like more testimonial type of ads and all that. And then top of funnel, I just test different creators, very similar approach. I think it's a little bit more interest testing sometimes than TikTok. If you have a top performing ad, you can test it for different interests and see how it performs. But in general, I think it's all kind of broad targeting, all the same approach. Very simple setup, 3 campaigns or so. I usually test smart campaigns on Facebook as well. Advantage shopping campaigns is what it's called on Facebook, I think. I always get confused with the names. But yeah, they keep changing too. And then like TikTok wants to call it this. TikTok calls it ad groups. Facebook calls it ad sets. And it's all the same. But I test that one on Facebook as well. But yeah, very similar setup. In general, I'm a big fan of trying to keep it to a minimum number of campaigns. But it's more than just basically one as in TikTok or 2. It's more like, I'd say around 4 or 5 active campaigns in Facebook usually.
Right. And you said top of funnel campaign, mid funnel campaign. Is the only difference there the betas that go into the campaigns ads, or is it also something in the setup that?
Yeah, it's the creative one and 2 targeting. So when I talk about middle of funnel, for example, that would mean people that have engaged with your ad, people that have watched, let's say 50% or what the number might be. Those people that they're not super hard, like not, oh, I'm going to buy it, but they're definitely interested, because otherwise they wouldn't have seen 50% of your ad, right? And bottom of funnel will be people who have visited your website, people who might have added to cart but didn't end up buying. And both groups, usually middle of funnel, needs more UGC, more like testimonial style thing, UGC video, etc. And bottom of funnel, it's oftentimes straight up just, hey, it's a screenshot of a testimonial with some copy above it and such. So both very testimonial focused. So it's how the creative is slightly different. Like top of funnel, you make something like funny that, entertains people and such. And bottom of funnel, it's more like, okay, we're actually good. Here's why you should buy from us.
All right. That's an interesting way to put it, or like a nice way to put it. Top of funnel, make people watch, become inspired, etc. And then bottom of funnel, drive home why they should buy from you.
Yep.
Very actionable way of thinking about it, I think. So today, do you see a big difference in performance between TikTok and Meta?
I think it depends a lot on the clients. We've had clients where TikTok's conversion rate, for example, results were actually better than Facebook. But I also have clients where it's more of the opposite. I will say Facebook over reports a lot, as everybody probably knows by now. So I look a lot at post-purchase surveys. If somebody says, okay, I found you on TikTok, I found you on Facebook, I look at, okay, how much did we actually spend to get this response? You know, if we spend 100,000 on Facebook and we get 100 responses on the survey saying we found you here, and I spend 100,000 on TikTok and get only, I don't know, or maybe get 200 responses, then TikTok is objectively doing better. Even though attribution, like in Facebook Ads Manager or TikTok might show something differently. But yeah, to answer your question, it depends. Some clients, one performs better, for other clients the other. It's a lot like product fit and just can be the audience. I think it's important for our people to advertise and for brands to advertise on both, especially if they have the budget for it. Because one is, it's two different markets. You hit different people on different platforms, and you also just get more brand awareness. If the same people on Facebook see ads over and over again, your brand won't grow as much. If you have very cheap costs on TikTok, and a lot of people see it there that aren't active on Facebook, then, there's just a lot more people that have your brand name top of mind. So that's right. Both are important, and yeah, performance can be one, can be the other. There's no like ultimate, okay, Facebook does better, TikTok does better. I think in a lot of agencies, Facebook does better, but usually that's because the creative is just shit.
Yeah, all right. We have covered a lot on the ad side, what happens in the accounts, the creatives, etc. Something that you're really big on, if I read your LinkedIn content and visit your website, etc., and something that I think a lot of people are overseeing to some extent sometimes, is landing pages. How do you approach auditing a landing page to make sure that it's optimized for starting on paid social?
Yeah, so there's a few different things. Obviously, like landing pages is very complex. So, can talk about this for 2 hours or so. I think with a high-level breakdown, I look for the most common things first. Like, what are the easiest things to apply that are going to make the biggest change? So most likely, there's not going to be any descriptions or something. There might be a big headline, like the main headline of the landing page. Look at that. Look at things like the checkout. Is the checkout smooth? Can we improve the checkout? Are there more upsells possible? Are we getting cross-sales going? Bundling, all those type of things. I look a lot at social proof. Most brands don't have video proof on their landing pages and product pages, and I don't know why. If you have UGC videos, you can just simply take 3 of those and add them onto your landing page, and I promise you, your results are gonna increase by probably 10% or more. People like the visual presentation. Yeah, I think those are the most common things. Offer, I'm a big fan of, is the offer obvious? If you offer 2 items for 50% off and free shipping, is that easy to get? Obvious. And then, more nitty-gritty stuff like, is the problem obvious? That's a big thing I see with brands. Is it obvious why somebody needs it? Oftentimes it's just, I go to a landing page and I think, okay, this would be nice to have, but it's not like, okay, I need this because otherwise, I don't know, this is going to happen, right? So those are, I think, the most common things. And then obviously you can try different landing pages. It's like 5 reasons why, kind of like the TikTok format where you have 5 reasons why I love X. You can do the same with a landing page. You can have one that's more like a blog post, low-key save. There's a lot of different types. So we just kind of test through those or just improve what they have already.
A standard format for like a ground level high performing landing page.
UGC videos on the landing page. If possible, depending on the product, I'd make the reviews so people can add images to them, because the more visual, the better. Making sure something that explains how the product works is applicable. I definitely have a chart in there, us versus them, basically. Here's why, it's basically a table. Here's what we are, here's what the competition is, and then visually laying out what we have that they don't have. I'm a big fan of a sticky buy now button, or to cart button. So when you scroll, it stays at the bottom. I think it's very underutilized. And a top bar. Basically, most brands have that already, but I still see some brands without it. where you have a bar at the very top of the page saying get 10% off if you buy two, something like that. I think those would be the main things. And then, easy checkout, cross sells in there with like, hey, are you sure you don't want to add my shampoo to this soap or whatever? I think those would be the main things I'm looking for. And like I said, the thing that the problem stands out. The problem has to stand out a little bit. It's like, okay, if somebody snores, we have a temporary snoring device. Why does somebody need this device versus, okay, it's nice if they stop snoring, but it's not a need. You really need to point out, okay, you're sleeping bad because your husband snores. If you're the snorer, you sleep bad because you wake up in the middle of the night because you can't breathe properly. Those are the main things that I look at.
And I guess that should also match or overlap with what you're communicating in the ad. So it creates like a...
Yeah. Of course.
You talked about that you have seen some wins using generative AI in your ads. Which tools are you using and how are you using them?
Yeah, there would be 11 Labs. I use 11 Labs for voiceovers. If you use the voice toning feature, you can adjust emotions and such. Sounds super realistic if you put some effort into it. Use ChatGPT for just, I don't know, kind of like my Google. Any feedback, ideas, if I need inspiration, or how can I appeal emotions or in the script better, I ask ChatGPT. There's, what else do I use? Probably not aware of some that I use. For voice improvement, sometimes we use the Adobe, what is it called? Enhancer or so, speech enhancer, I think. And I think that's it. I'm probably missing one or two.
Yeah, have you used any video tools, Sven?
Not yet. I tried Midjourney for images, but it doesn't generate specific branded images. So I couldn't really use that, and I haven't found anything for video yet. That would be the next step.
Exactly. I think video isn't really there yet. I talked to one guy called Manson Chan, and he's using AI-generated video for visual hooks. So ASMR vibe thing. He'll think it's too early to create something more elaborate with it.
Yeah.
But that's something to check out. Cool. I mean, now you have 1 minute to your meeting, so thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Okay, that was it for today's episode. I hope you got some learnings on how you can use really creative concepts and the importance of landing pages. If you want more insights like these, make sure to follow my newsletter at thinkingmarketing.io, as well as me on social media channels. And make sure to give Sven a follow on LinkedIn as well to get more of his knowledge directly into your feeds. That's it for today. Have a great day.